Okay, y'all ready? Hey, so this is what's gonna happen. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Let me pull this.
Oh, what are you doing?
My phone came out.
Yeah, I need. Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, here.
They're properly shuffled. Properly shuffled.
Well, I don't know how properly, but they're shuffled.
Okay. I'll trust you. What's that? What's wrong? What's
My
happening?
phone came out.
Uh-oh.
Even being a man to go find it. Look at him go.
Let's do it. All right. Okay, you guys ready?
Sure.
We're gonna play a new game tonight that I hope catches on because it's a lot of fun. Based on my experience of playing it, which is very limited because I just made it up. So, you guys ready? This game, and I need both my friends. Both my friends.
Jerry got friends?
Now it's a monkey.
This is a gorilla, actually. But
It's a monkey gorilla.
okay, we're gonna play a game called Gorilla versus Sloth. Okay, so these are very slow.
Why is a sloth with a
Okay.
strap on?
Okay, so this is how this is gonna work. You gotta listen so you don't get confused. Okay, so everybody listen.
Everybody listen
Strap
to me.
on.
Everybody listen. Please, listen to me.
Okay, this is how this game works. You're gonna face off against somebody, somebody that you know well, or just you pick your opponent. Okay, and there's gonna be a duel right here. One person's gonna have the gorilla, the other person's gonna have the sloth. And what I'm gonna do is you're gonna pick a card out of these four. You see it right here? We got Jack, Queen, King, and the Joker. Based on which card you get, the higher card gets to pick which one of these that you want to, if you want to be the sloth or the gorilla. I'll tell you why that's beneficial in a moment. Okay? So first you pick that, and then, just like war, you're going to pick a card, and based on the number card that you get, ace all the way to 10, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, based on the card that you get that you don't show anybody, it's just something that you see, that's the number of spaces that you will duel with them. So you want a very low number, because if you're number 1, then you could just, and they're number 10, then all you got to do is go one space and then throw the gorilla at them. But if you're a 10, you got to get all the way over to there. Or let's say it's an 8, you got to get all the way to here and get it to them. Okay? That's easy peasy. Now listen. You can, after you get your first card, if you get one and you're like, wow, that's a big number, I want a different card. You can get a second card. It could be worse, it could be better. See what I mean? Now, if you got the Joker, then you can choose to swap if you want. So right before the duel, you say, you know what? I want their card. Now, you have no idea what their card is, so you can choose to swap. This will get easier as we play it and as we get really good at it, okay? So, sloth guy goes right here.
Is ace number 1?
Ace is one space. So if you get an ace, all you gotta do, now listen, you cannot run from anything. As soon as you throw it, you have to stop, and if they throw it at you, you're gonna have to this is like a plank, okay? You can't go off of it, you can't go over here or anything like that. This is a duel. It's a duel, okay?
Aaron her.
You're throwing it at them.
Oh, yes!
It's a duel. When you turn around and shoot, you're trying to shoot the other person. Well, only you're throwing a gorilla or a sloth.
We should bring duels back.
Clearly, because we're a youth group and we love each other. All right, ready, Allie?
People would stop talking smack if they knew you could.
Are anybody confused?
Yes.
No,
I got it.
Okay, who's up here first to demonstrate this game? Let's see, where we got?
He scares me.
What? He's
Here,
scared.
I'll go against
No, it's okay. Bailey, who picked your opponent?
Sydney.
Oh, Sydney.
Hey, I love you, but you scared me. You're straight.
Okay.
You're straight.
Just because I
Try not to kill
can throw my
the
sloth
sloth.
and want 8.
Okay, ready?
So,
So, Bailey, you may pick.
you would have no mercy.
Your opponent.
Especially if it was Sydney, you know?
Okay,
You gotta
so-
go on payback for what happened earlier.
Okay, that's the so that decides which one of these you get. If you are higher than her card, then you get to choose. What is your card, Sydney? Jack. What'd you get?
Yeah, baby.
You got the king, so you pick sloth. Oh, and you get
Good
the
choice with
Okay,
the gun, so you
it's a good pick. Now this is the game of war. Okay, so you get to pick your card. Don't show nobody. Don't show nobody. Don't show. Let's see. There you go. Don't show nobody. And then you get to pick your card.
He's holding
one
one
of
of
these.
He's got
Okay, now don't show. Do you want to trade in your card for another card? You can. Yes, you can if you would like to. You can put your card here and take the card off the top right there. Do you wish
I can't tell.
to turn in your card? That depends on how far you have to go before you throw the gorilla. So what do you think? You want to risk? If it's right in the middle, you can get an ace and get all the way up to the front, or you can get a 10 and roll it. Yes.
Do I have to do this? Let's go.
You get all the way to the space that you go to, and
Oh,
so
can I skip it?
yeah, you get it. It's how far away you are. Okay?
Yeah, you just go.
Do you want to trade in your card, or do you want to stick with it?
No. I'm gonna stick.
Stick with it? Okay. All right. So you may now reveal what your card is. Is a 6 and a 6. Oh my goodness.
God, some more.
Here we go. Here we go. Line up back to
One
back.
more, and they're
Front,
It's
back
the
to
mark
back.
of the beast. I gotta get
So-
over here. I'm nervous.
So you mark it off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to get to here.
You didn't hear that.
Yeah, you can jump. You can jump all the way to it, but you got to get to there
The
before you
irony
can
of learning 666 church now.
Then you're out. Yeah. Bailey, you ready?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Back to back.
The original trick.
Line up before the square. Ready?
Say school.
And, wait. Ready? There. Perfect. Ready? And then when I yell duel, you begin.
Yeah. Wait! Yeah. Go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Duel. Oh!
Bailey.
That is a double miss. Oh, so close.
So it's
All
like
right. We'll do it again. But if you miss on the third try, then you're both dead. So you want to make sure that you get it. Ready?
Gorilla versus.
sloth.
I got Alex.
Duel! Oh! Alex! Ready? This is the last one. The last one before you both die. Okay? It is good. Alright.
Is the duel. Find a good holding spot for the gorilla. There you go. Yeah, she's good. Yeah, practice, Bailey. Ready? 3.
Why are you?
Gorilla
Wait.
versus sloth. Mark it
False
off.
start on the offense.
Stop.
5-yard penalty.
Duel!
Beat first down.
Oh!
Come here. Can I see it?
Yeah, just throw it at her.
Oh, you missed it.
Alright. That was good. That was good.
Oh, there for me.
Okay. Oh no! Alright.
Horrible watch, Bailey. That's terrible.
Sit up high. You guys haven't killed anybody yet. Alright, say, there you go. Alright. I need 2 new contenders. Who's ready? Ashton
Yeah.
and Andrew.
Okay.
Alright.
We'll figure it
He
out.
said alright.
I was gonna pick someone different.
Alright.
Alright.
Alright. Ready?
I want to see how this
Okay,
turns out.
so Ashton. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Alright.
Wait, I think both such like both of them.
Wait, what? Oh, we're supposed
Yeah,
to.
go ahead. He has the
I'm a
Joker.
queen.
He has the queen. Okay, so Andrew, you get to choose which ones you want, and also
Oh, there's a baby on here. I feel terrible.
you want the gorilla.
Oh, this is a
Ashton, he gets to choose. That's the whole point.
I got a queen in
Here,
here.
wait, no, which one do you want?
Which one? Oh my goodness.
That's
All right.
terrible.
All right, ready? There you go. Ashton, pay attention. All right. Don't tell anybody. All right. Do you want to hold on to it, or do you want to trade it in?
This card is mine.
I want to trade.
You want to trade? Okay, here we go. Pick a card off the top, man.
Depending on
Right
what
off the
card you
top.
have, statistically, it's gonna be worse.
All
I
right.
want to keep it.
He's gonna keep. All right, put him down. Put him down. No, I need the card. I need the thank you so much. Oh my goodness. You guys both have 3s. Oh my goodness. This is gonna be close.
No, I'm just gonna be fed. That's how this is gonna work.
Is that gonna
Wait, I got a question. Is this a 1 or is this a 0?
Have mercy,
That's
bro.
1, 2, 3.
Have mercy.
First take. Back to back.
This could go quick. Ready? Wait, you gotta get behind the blue tape. There you go, back to back. This is a duel. This is Old West style duel. Ready? Gorilla versus Sloth. Duel! You guys weren't even close. Ashton, you weren't even near the 3. That was a 1. He didn't even turn, he just turned around.
I did, I went, oh!
Here, let's draw higher cards since we're
No, you got it. You got it, Andrew. You just focus on winning. Okay? Ready? Go! You guys are
I didn't know. He hit me.
You never hit me.
Oh, dang. Okay, let's go.
Oh, is this the last one?
Last
For
one.
both deaths?
You
ready?
don't need your target.
Certain death, come on!
Gorilla! I didn't say duel. What are you guys doing? Ashton died. Ashton died.
What?
Dead.
That's cat.
Alright,
You suck.
Andrew literally just did this to me.
Alright, you got time. Piper? And wait, which one do you want to go? You wanna go against Ashley? Okay, so then we'll go after you. You guys go and then you guys
Yeah,
go.
Reed's so
Alright.
terrible. You can literally just
Ashley and Piper.
Hey,
You're like, yeah, the coach is whatever it is.
and it wouldn't be fun.
You may pick.
My first one was 7.
Quickly.
I got 7 for the first one.
Alright, what'd you get? What'd you get? Queen and Jack. Okay, so what do you want? Yeah, you want the okay, Sloth. Alright, and you get to pick first here. Here you
I
go.
was gonna choose Zach.
Whatever you want. Okay? Pick whatever you want.
Well, you would know.
There. And do you want to
Hey,
trade?
game's a game, man.
No?
Don't
No?
worry.
Okay. Hand me your cards.
I gotta do
And you are 3 and a 4. So Ashley's got to go a little bit farther.
Alright, this is gonna be good.
This is gonna be so 3 and a 4. Ready?
Just wait.
Gorilla versus Sloth.
You already in? That's a good.
Duel!
Oh!
Ashley went for accuracy. Piper threw it into the bleachers. Poor Gorilla flew.
Alright, Slothy. There you go. Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, let me pick.
That's a lot. Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got? Joker and a queen. So you get to pick which one you want. Alright. Which one do you want? Sloth. So the sloth. Della gets the gorilla. You get to go. You get to pick your card. You get a card.
Bro, we should play like
Okay.
dodgeball.
Now, do you want to keep your card or do you want to trade it? You want to keep yours? You want to keep yours? Okay. Hand them in. 2 and a 4. Oh. We're going to have to go very far. Della's got to go all the way here. Right there. Alright, ready?
Gorilla versus Sloth. Duel!
Get it!
Oh! You get him first? Yeah, that was close.
Oh my goodness. Sloth!
You're lucky I did like that. You're lucky I did like that. That was
Sloth did
bad.
that. Almost got killed.
Emma would have just been.
Alright. We got anybody else? Anybody else in this? No?
Hey!
Oh, Ethan? Come on up.
Who you want to go?
We need somebody to go get Ethan.
Alright.
Who you want to
Let's
go?
do.
Somebody hasn't gone yet?
I'm watching.
Anybody? She's probably going to. Uh-oh.
And if you lose, we're never going to forget this.
I know the mama is on.
Alright.
We're going to fight you for the rest
Here
of
you
your
go.
life if you lose.
Take your card. What'd you get? Queen and a jack. Alright, Ethan, you get to choose which one you want. Sloth
That's very
or the gorilla that just came in. Sloth. Okay. Everybody thinks the sloth is the one. Okay, there you go. Pick any one you want. Alright. And then you pick
Yeah, the
any
slot
one
and
you
the
want.
gun, I can tell it's not a good choice.
Alright, do you want to trade it in for another one? Okay. Back on top.
It was so
There it is.
stressed
All right. What do you want to do? You good? So he's sticking with a 7.
Well done.
A 10? Oh my goodness. So Emma has to go to the end of the line. Ethan has to go to right here.
Alright, let's see what I can do here.
Evan, please
Are
don't
you guys
lose.
ready?
Just don't.
You guys ready?
You lose
Turn
me.
the other way.
Gorilla versus the sloth.
Sloth.
You guys ready? Duel!
No!
Emma got you.
Oh!
And a miss.
All right.
Come on, Emma.
Round 2
Are you
duel.
serious?
Round 2 duel.
Emma, how do you miss?
You got off that plank.
Doesn't
We
matter.
got off that
I
plank.
thought you weren't allowed to get off.
You're not supposed to get off the plank.
Yeah, so Ethan's out.
It is a plank, yeah. If you fall off the plank, then you drown.
We have to do 10 again?
Yeah.
You
You ready?
Get Evan for choosing it.
You ready? Gorilla versus sloth.
Who's gonna win?
Who will win?
Oh my god.
Duel!
Yeah!
Oh, Ethan, you got off the plank.
That was it. That's a win for Emma. Ethan, you can't get off the plank. Can you jump off the boat?
Emma, you have a good job.
What?
Good. Okay.
Emma, you did not lose.
That was good though.
At least she won. I'm proud.
She was
Good job, Ethan. Good
You're
work.
dude and stuff.
I mean, like, not that she was like,
I don't know, let's do some shit for myself. Look at this guy's face. It's like he went and missed this entire place in here.
We're not gonna play more of
It's
those.
kind of like you, bro.
Hey, man. Sorry that
You need to
I'm.
shake.
I do shake.
No, there's no way you shake.
He's like,
I'm
for
ready.
7 minutes, all of us not here.
I'm wearing slippers too. My hair ain't never.
All right, you guys ready?
You guys ready to do this?
Do what?
Do what we doing, man.
What are you looking at?
What are we
What are
doing?
you looking at?
We're looking at the sloth.
Oh.
I'm looking at the
She
stars.
Yeah, we're looking at Rambo's sloth up, man.
All right. Hey, a few announcements before we get started. Okay? Just listen up. We have the last night of fear is tonight. Is what we're gonna attack our last the one that I really want to tackle tonight. And then what's been coming in is you guys have put a lot of good questions. I have papers up here, little bitty squares of papers, and you guys have been putting questions in here. And they were so good that I went, you know what? We all are probably asking these same questions, or to some form of these questions. So next week, we're going to be doing a Q&A on questions. So if you have a question tonight, make sure it goes into that box because we're going to be tackling those next Sunday night. The reason I want to do that next Sunday night is because I feel like these questions are worth it, that we need to tackle them. But the main thing is we're going to be launching into Thanksgiving, right? I mean, Thanksgiving is like next month, okay? And so I have a push that we're going to be having to Thanksgiving. And it's going to be, I wanted to start it, and here's the other thing I was thinking about. I want to do our Thanksgiving, our Save a Turkey Thanksgiving dinner that we annually do. This is the first year we've done it with this stage, and so I'm trying to figure out like how that's going to work. We'll make it work. But we're going to have tables in here, and we're going to have food, so we need to work on, if I could talk to NY council people tonight before you go.
Oh, we're having a meeting?
We need to talk because I need some ideas. We need to talk about what we can do about the Thanksgiving, and then also we need to what? Yes, and we need to talk about what we're gonna do with that and what we have on the table. What are options? Okay, so November. Oh, I thought that was the thing that messed me up over there. Anyway. So if you see all those PVC pipe over there, I'm building something.
I saw that
So I'm working on something. So we had it. But I'm trying to come up with new games for us. And so forgive me if the games are not always the best. I'm usually making them up as I go. So I do the best. But just so you know, tonight, fear, next week, Q&A, ask those questions. And then the week after is this. I'm going to be talking, Jesus does great stories that involve coins, that involve what these people are doing with their money. And so what we're going to start in Thanksgiving, to get our minds focused on Thanksgiving and what that looks like, and what it is to give and be thankful. We're going to start a 2-week series. I originally thought it was going to be 4, but I'm going to condense it all down to 2 because I want our Thanksgiving dinner and I want the Q&A next week. So we're going to pull it all down, but those 2 weeks we're going to be focusing on Thanksgiving. What does it mean to be thankful and be grateful? And Jesus taught a lot of people about how to give by using this analogy of here the story is about coins, and he tells this story and unpacks it, and people just get so much out of it. And so we're going to be doing that. Yeah.
You know if we're gonna have like a Thanksgiving for like all the church this year? Or
I don't know what they're planning. Right now, everything is kind of up in the air with all of that. Even our Thanksgiving together was up in the air until about a couple days ago. I went, you know what? This meal, just for us, I feel like is always a good time for us to get together and spend time. We could play games and we have like a nice dinner together. Not all of us get to have a dinner with family and stuff, or maybe you do go off with family and you don't get to see your friends. And it's a good opportunity to be thankful for the people that are in this youth group, that are your brothers and sisters that you do life together with and disciple each other with. And I want it to happen in here. And I always love doing that and trying to find some kind of meal that you guys can have. So, but we'll talk about that and what that looks like. And so, but I'm excited about November. And then right after that, you know what happens.
Christmas.
Right after Thanksgiving, we launch 100 miles an hour into Christmas. And that means our Christmas challenges. If you guys remember last year and the year before, that, the Christmas challenges get crazy. So you want to make sure you're here for Christmas. That's all within the next few weeks. I'm telling you.
Thanksgiving.
And, yeah, I know, right? In 1 month, we're going to be like headstrong into Christmas. And so I'm mind blown. Which I did. Abby and I bought a Christmas tree for the teen room. So we're already in Christmas prep mode. So we love all of this time of year. So, you guys ready to jump in? I have time for tonight. You good?
Yeah.
You alright? Alright. Let me make sure this doesn't start automatically. We good? Okay. Let me pray. We'll invite those that are going to be leading worship tonight to come up, and we'll do this. Let's pray together, guys. Father, tonight, we know there's a lot of things on our heart, a lot of things on our minds, maybe school stuff, maybe stuff at home, stuff with family, stuff with friends. There's a lot of stuff going on in our lives, and the mistake that we can make is to think that you don't care about certain areas of our life. That maybe our life isn't that important, or maybe these certain areas of our life just isn't that important. The people in our life, our friends, our studies, our grades, our future, all those things we kind of juggle on our own, and you're asking us tonight to lay them down at your feet and to trust you with it. And so I pray that as we talk about what we're going to talk about, as we sing, as we just spend time thinking about you over the next few minutes, I pray that you would be glorified by these songs, and that you would actually speak to our hearts and shape us and form us into the men and women that you want us to be. It happens in nights like this that we take steps in our faith and steps in our walk with you that change who we are becoming in the future. So I pray, God, that you would do something incredible tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
When this life is over, I'll fly away.
Jeremy got his sweet on the go right there.
Probably unsweet from the
Jeremy, no, please tell me you don't drink unsweet.
He does.
Jeremy, you drink unsweet?
I'm from Oklahoma.
You dirty heathen!
You're disgusting.
You're nasty!
You don't belong
Look,
You know
look,
who really
look.
tastes these tea leaves?
Look.
Unsweet drinkers. Y'all
Nah,
just take sugar.
nah.
I taste the leaves.
Well, who wants to taste some
That's the
nasty
problem.
leaves, man?
That's why we left. That's why we left the monarchy 250 years
Yeah.
ago to get away from leaves that taste like leaves. You want it to taste like sugar. I want to have diabetes, high blood pressure. I mean,
Yeah, just
I don't have it.
I don't want my pancreas to work.
I just want to
I
ask.
want my pancreas to just not work. Look, I don't want gluten.
Honestly, not too sweet.
How was your weekend? How was your weekend, Jeremy?
Yeah, what'd you do this weekend, huh?
So I
I
got ready
didn't
for
watch
you.
your football. I didn't watch your football.
I did watch. I did watch a little bit of TC Boo.
Tennessee State University.
Oh, Texas.
Bunch of they're Christian university.
Texas Christian University.
They're purple.
That's where Andy Dalton.
How long has it been since you guys beat Texas?
So is LaDainian Tomlinson.
That is true.
All right,
Andy Dalton got a.
you guys good?
No.
Oh, we're in good shape. Handshake.
Yeah, man.
He's saying some old stuff.
I love you guys. This was such a fun night. You guys are awesome. I don't care if we have 1 million people here or a few people here. Something's gonna happen tonight. But here's what I want you to think about, though. A few people came across my mind this week, and I reached out to them, and I miss them like crazy, and they probably know who they are. And so I want everybody, if you're thinking about somebody that's not here tonight, take a moment at some point tonight or tomorrow or in the days to come to reach out to them, because there are members of this youth group that haven't been here in a while. And I don't know if life got busy, if the pandemic kind of threw things, into a loop and all that. But regardless, everybody matters. Everybody in this room matters, and everybody who's not in this room matters. And so we want to make sure that we're thinking about them, okay? Your family members, your friends, the people that used to be really plugged in, there could be a number of reasons why they're not here. Reach out to them and touch base with them. Did anybody listen to me? Is this on?
Yes.
Is anybody here?
It's not on, but
It ain't on. You're fine.
We're
Is that
listening to you, sweetie.
Oh. My shirt.
Okay.
Allie,
It's
Grandma.
gonna be a good night.
Allie,
Okay?
Grandma.
I like a random word to use.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's pray and we'll jump in, alright? God, tonight we are again so thankful for a church that cares so much about us to pour into this youth ministry and give us a space that we could worship, give us a space that we could learn, give us a space that we could throw sloths and gorillas at each other. That matters, God, because we're growing and we're getting closer to you. And so I pray that tonight, as we open your word, that you would apply it to our minds, that we would not grow shallow, apply it to our hearts, that we would not grow cold, and apply it to our feet, so that we don't just hear your words, but we actually put them into action and apply them when we leave this building. And we pray all this in your holy name. Amen. I love this series because I get to talk about really cool stuff and talk about things that are very, very close to home. I don't know if you guys realize this. Abby does, because she knows me really well. But over the course of my entire career, and I'll sum it all up based on the last 4 years I've been with you guys. I've been here 4 years, and I'll tell you this. There's not one thing that I've ever talked about that hasn't hit home very personally to me. It's hard for me to talk about things that I haven't experienced or gone through or struggled with myself. And so everything that we talk about is very personal. I try to be as transparent as I can be to you guys, so that you guys don't go home thinking, man, Jeremy tells me all these things, but I bet he's not going through any of them. Or I bet he's already figured all this out. I haven't. I'm still learning myself. As you get discipled, I get discipled. Okay? Like we all learn together. And so when I started including you guys in these conversations about a year and a half ago, I started saying, hey guys, if you guys have something to say, feel free to interrupt me and we'll talk. Like when we started doing that, I started learning a lot more myself. And so now looking back on that moment, that was a turning point in how I do things, because all before that, it was me. I dominated that conversation. But now you guys are in it. I want you guys to give me feedback, even while we're in the middle of this in the middle of what we're doing tonight. And then also next week, we'll have a lot of opportunities to answer questions and go and do that. So tonight, let's go over this story. I only have 3 points, but we have a few more passages. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you guys a bunch of questions. Smaller group, feel free to throw out anything. It's your opinion. It's your, not your opinion, it's your viewpoint of what you see going on in this story and what's happening. I want you guys to be able to share, because when you guys say things out loud, it keeps the story moving forward. So let's start right at the very beginning. We'll unpack this. This is Matthew chapter 14. Jesus is with his disciples. And this first verse, I'm going to read it, and then I want you guys to ask questions. Just like you're an investigator, investigating the details of what's going on. You guys ask those questions, but ask them out loud to me, okay? If you can, if you feel like it. If it's like, I have a question. Okay, ready? Here we go. Immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake while he sent the people home. Ask me questions.
Oh.
Go.
Why?
Why did he do what?
Why are they crossing the lake in the first place?
Why are they crossing the lake?
What's on the other side of the lake?
What's on the other side of the lake?
Ooh, when did they cross it?
When did they cross it? Okay. Any other questions? Based on what we just read, if I were to tell you this and you were to say, Jeremy, you're going to have to expand. If I just walked up to you and started a conversation by saying, hello, Zach, immediately after this, and I would, okay, so you would ask me a question, you'd be like, what? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Why right then? Okay.
I was going to say what lake.
The Sea of Galilee?
Go ahead.
Oh, that was it.
You were going to ask what?
What lake?
What lake? What lake?
The
Is it
Sea of Galilee.
Where Sea of Galilee? These are good questions. You have to ask those questions and find that out. She asked a good question. You answered the question. That's good.
After what?
After what? Ooh, I like. See, Andrew always throws in those curveballs. Immediately after this, you say, immediately after what? Because a lot of times, what decides what we're talking about is an event that happened right before it. If Jesus is immediately doing something and saying, okay guys, I'm insisting. You guys, nobody pointed out that word. That's the word that would pop out in my mind. It's like the strange word in the whole thing. We know what's happening. Jesus wants his disciples to get into a boat and cross it. That's very basic stuff. But it was immediately after another event. That's what we have to figure out. What was the other event? And then the other thing is, why is Jesus so insistent on it? What does that mean? If somebody insists that you do something, what does that mean?
They keep on it.
Keep on it, like persistence. Keep on asking. They really, it's not just like, hey, can you do this? Like, he's saying, I insist. Please do this. You need to do this.
It kind of to the point where like just nags you to death.
Okay, there's a little bit where you would, on the receiving end of it, go, okay, I'll do it. Like, calm down. You may feel that way. Anybody else? What do you think the word insist means? Anybody ever insisted that you do something? Who would insist you do something?
My mom.
Okay. Mom would insist that you do what?
Clean the room. Do the dishes.
Clean your room because it's a pit. We all know that.
There's one like windshield floor.
Oh, but Jesus insisted. Now, here's the answer to the questions. You guys ask the questions, we have to answer them. Jesus insisted that they go immediately after an event. Now, what just took place was that Jesus was talking with his disciples all around him, and this big crowd shows up because everybody wants to listen to him speak. Okay? So he's talking, and it's getting later in the day, and the disciples are like, okay, like, it's late. And he's like, well, I have compassion for all these people. So Jesus is out here, and he's healing people. We come to find out that the crowd consists of at least 5,000 people. Okay? 5,000 people is a large crowd. And Jesus is healing people. So even if Jesus could heal people instantly, like walk up and just heal them by touching them, healing a group of people in a group of 5,000, who knows how many people he healed, but it takes a long time. And the sun starts going down. And his disciples are like, Jesus, we got to send these people home, okay? They're going to be hungry. We can't feed them. And Jesus says, no, we can feed them. And so he takes 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and he feeds a crowd of 5,000 people. Now, we were talking about having a Thanksgiving dinner in here. That, for us, takes a good hour and a half. Now, he has to feed 5,000 people. Even if he multiplied it instantly, and just passing it out to 5,000 people has got to take a while, right? Think about time in your head, okay? The clock's ticking, right? He starts handing it out, and people are like, where's my food? Okay? And so he hands it all out. The sun is now set. It's dark. It's nighttime. And then Jesus turns to his disciples and says, immediately after this huge, miraculous event happens, he insists that his disciples get into a boat on the Sea of Galilee and cross to the other side of it. Now, what jumps out to you as this, who's in this boat?
Jesus and his disciples.
Okay, that's what I thought. Who is in the boat? You guys know who's in the boat?
Peter.
Based on that sentence right there.
Just the disciples.
Just the disciples.
The people.
There you go. Yeah, see, you got to read it really close. And when you read scripture, you got to read it really closely. Do you see? Jesus sent his disciples away, and Jesus went and prayed. This is how much he values his relationship with his Father. Okay, Jesus says, I need time alone with my Father. So you guys get in a boat and cross to the other side. I'm going to be over here. So he goes off by himself. Just after feeding all these people, you would think he'd be exhausted, right? Jesus is still human. He gets tired. He still needs to sleep and eat and do all the things that we do. Now, he goes off on his own. That's how much he prioritizes. He says, this is what I need to do. I need to spend time with my Father. And so he goes off and he's on his own. Now, here's what I want you to notice here. Is that, you guys know what happens when they get on the lake? All of a sudden,
It gets kind of windy.
it gets kind of windy. Okay? The disciples are by themselves. They've been in a boat before with Jesus when it got windy, but he was with them. He's not with them now. So the disciples are trying to handle this all on their own. And they're like, okay, are we by ourselves? Right? That's what I would be thinking. Jesus is gone. The guy that we follow, that we just watched. What happened immediately before this? We just watched this guy do something miraculous, but now our lives are on the line and he's not here. Anybody can relate with me on this, that you say, I know God's real, but I have walked through seasons of my life where I could not feel his presence. Or am I the only person that's felt that way? Sometimes you feel that way. You go, I know. There's 100% conviction in my heart. I know God's real, but why can I not feel him with me when I'm going through what I'm going through right now? These disciples are in the middle of that. They're going, we know Jesus could save us, but he's not here right now. And so this is what I want you to write down. An important note that I've learned to harness in my own life, and is important for you to write down, is that the pathway I travel may lead me directly into the path of the storm. Now, why would that be? Do you notice? The disciples would not have been in the boat in the first place if Jesus had not told them to go there. Why do you think God would lead you into the path of the storm?
Because he can guide you through it.
He can guide you through it. There's confidence that he says, trust me, I can guide you through it. That's powerful right there. Why would God, as soon as we become a believer in Jesus, why wouldn't God just make the pathway as easy as humanly possible so that we have no pain and no stress and no anxiety and no fear and no bad friends and no broken relationships and no negative things? Go. Yeah.
I mean, as a believer, you go through hardship anyway. So it's not. Whenever you become a believer, it's not going to be like, oh, magically, your life's going to be better. It doesn't happen like that.
Which is wild. You say that, and it's totally right. But there are people who believe that. Go, I don't understand why I became a Christian and then nothing changed in my life. Ethan, go ahead.
Say you can trust God more.
Teaching you how to trust. Yes.
Because nothing good comes free or easy.
Do that curveball.
Anyway, that curveball right back there. Anytime that you've gone through a season of your life that has been difficult, chances are you've grown in a way that you may not see, but other people around you can see you came out from that stronger on the other side. There are seasons of your life, if you did not go through them, you would not be the person that you are today. And rewinding back to that moment that you were going through that storm, you would go, that was the roughest season that I've ever had to go through. I wish I never had to go through it. I spent many years at a place serving at a church where I had somebody that I trusted with so much of my life. I was a brand new youth pastor, and I loved doing student ministry. I was right out of college. I was single. I was moving 1,500 miles away from home. I didn't know a single person in the entire state. And I went, God, if this is what you wanted me to do, then I'll do it. And I followed God all the way to this place. And I put all my trust, probably too much trust in a human being and not enough trust in God. And I went through a dark season of my life where this person decided he was going to make my life as hard as he possibly could. And I was on my own. I felt like I was on the boat by myself, and Jesus was off praying, and I was like, the storm's whipping up. Where are you? I don't see you anymore. I don't feel you. I don't know you're here. And it lasted for years. Now, looking back on that, I would say, if I'd have known in January of 2007 that was what the next 5 years would look like, I probably would have said, there's no way. I won't do it. I'll stay home. But the only reason that I'm the person I am today is because I was in that boat for 5 years. Now, there were good times. I didn't always feel like I was going to drown in that boat, but that was a kind of season that shaped the character inside of me where I trust God more today, and I notice when I start trusting people more than I trust God. I notice when I do that. I go, man, I'm going through something. Instead of going to God first, I go to this person first. And I go, man, I need to pray about this. I need to take this to God first. That's got to be my first instinct. So these guys, let's go through this. When the disciples, now Jesus shows up. I tried to skip, I know I'm skipping over chunks of scripture, and I don't want to do that. Jesus comes walking across the water in the middle of their storm. Now, when the disciples saw him walking on the water, what were they?
They were terrified.
They were terrified. They were terrified, and in their what? In the middle of their fear, they cried out, it's a ghost. Now I'm wondering, okay, for one, I've never seen a ghost before. But for me, this would qualify. Why would it qualify as being a ghost, do you think?
Well, because someone's walking on water, I don't think anyone has seen.
So we've never seen this moment before. So see, this is a good thing. So think about this for a second. When you've experienced something that you've never experienced before, your mind will believe a lot of different things quickly. You'll go, oh no, I've never run into this, and you'll go to extremes. A lot of times, we won't even know that God's working right there in front of our face. Can you imagine mistaking Jesus for a ghost? In this moment, instead of them going, that's the one who can save us, instead, they turn their fear not on the storm that's around them, but now they're afraid of a ghost too. So they're afraid of the very thing that could save them, right? And so in this moment, Jesus is trying to say, are you serious? Like, I'm here. What does he say? Jesus spoke to them at once, immediately. As soon as fear gripped them, he spoke to them. Now, sometimes we can't hear these words, but Jesus said this, do not be afraid. Take courage. I am here. The question is, if Jesus led them out onto the water, if Jesus said, here's where I want you to go, and that's when the storm came up, why would we believe that God would lead us into that place and then abandon us there? We do that. I want you to think about this. This is where you are. You have to make this a personal thing and internalize it just for yourself. Why would God take us somewhere and then we think once he takes us there that he would abandon it at the very place that he took us?
He's probably testing your faith.
There's a moment where your faith is going to be, a real good word is test, is that you look at it and you go, we need to know, do we believe or not? And we could say it over and over, and we could follow a rhythm. What's our rhythm? You guys come on Sunday nights and you listen to me yell at you and stuff like that, and you're like, all right, I guess I'm a Christian because I go to youth group. But the question is, if you were to test your faith, what is it? Well, what would your faith look like if it got tested? In that moment, it's usually a fearful moment. That you step out and you say, I'm willing to be a part of this. Just think about the disciple. If the disciples, if half of them decided to go out on the lake and the other half are like, no, it's the Sea of Galilee. Storms whip up overnight in the Sea of Galilee all the time. It's in like a valley. So storms come up all the time. Go out there at night? No way. So me and Judas and Bartimaeus, and not Bartimaeus, me and Bartholomew, because we don't know what he does. So me and Bartholomew, we're going to sail on the shore and we're just going to wait, okay? Like, they decide we're all going to be out there. Yeah, but.
I mean, first and foremost, God really isn't, you're never really without God. God's always with you. He's always with you no matter what there is. The thing about it is, if you're scared and you think He's not with you, that's kind of like sin because you're not really trusting God.
It is. It'll push you into that moment. So you tell me, let me ask you this question. How much do we let fear affect us to the point where we go, okay, now it's sin? Like, if you're afraid, like, being afraid is okay. We could all experience fear in our lives. But how far do you feel like you get before you go, okay, now it's really affecting me. Now I'm really in a bad place.
Okay, so you know how you said that one time, like, it's a sin for me to do something but not Him?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so say that you get so scared to talk to somebody about your faith and to the point where you don't even do it. And that's sin because you're not doing what you need to do. And
in that moment, yeah, exactly that moment. God may call you to do something that He didn't call anybody else to do. It's your moment. You notice that Jesus sent, remember at the very first, go back up to the top, Jesus sent the people home. At the top of your paper right here. See this paper right here? Jesus sent all those people home. But these 12 disciples were supposed to get on a boat. Now, if none of those people got on a boat, but that's okay. Jesus sent them home. But Jesus called the disciples to go out on a boat. Are you guys going to be the ones to go out on the boat and say, yeah, for you, for me, like maybe you're like me in that sharing your faith openly with somebody's tough. Because you worry that you might not have the right words all perfect, so that if you share Jesus with somebody, they're going to go, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then you're like, oh, I don't know what to say. I just know that Jesus died. And they're like, okay. And you're like, I don't know where to take it from there. And so you worry about all those, am I going to say this right? Am I going to turn them away from Jesus? And if God's calling you to do something, He's not going to call you to do something that He's not also going to prepare you for. I get up here every night, and I get up here every Sunday night, and I'm at home on Sunday afternoon. And while you guys are not thinking about this, I'm thinking about everything I'm going to say. And then I've told some of you guys before too, I'm really transparent. I'll tell you all the time, is that when I leave here, I worry about everything I said when I was up here. And the only thing that gives me peace is knowing that if I'm trying to be as obedient as I can, God spoke something through me to you, and that's all that matters. My words are so imperfect. I stumble over words, I mix people up, I forget things. But at the end of the day, if God spoke through me, if you're listening, if your heart is humbled enough to be changed, then something might have happened. And so we be obedient in that moment that I'm trying to be. Like, none of you guys are called to speak up here tonight. It's just me. So I got to be obedient right now. So how do we let that change us? Is that Jesus says, take courage, I'm here. Now listen. And this is what I've learned in my life. You guys ready? Number 2, write this down, really important as we wrap things up, is that all problems have greater solutions. This is what I learned working with homeless people, okay? Working with those who were homeless, there were just a pile of problems, okay? There was a lot of things to tackle. Job stuff, a lot of jail stuff. I've been in jail this many times. I have this many kids. I have 2 jobs, but I can't provide for them. There were so many things that we needed to tackle. But I'm telling you, this is what I learned, is that you take a step back and look at the mountain that you have to climb, right? Here's the mountain. It's so huge. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get over this on my own. It all starts with you climbing the mountain. It all starts with one step at a time. And every problem will have a greater solution. There's a solution to it. And the solution is always found in spending time with God first and letting Him guide you through it. I know you were wanting me to say, Jeremy, Jeremy, this is what I want you to say. Tell me exactly the solution, and I'll go do it, and it'll fix the problem. I can't. Every one of us has something else we're trying to tackle, and the only way that you find out what your solution is you got to spend time in the Word, and you got to talk to God. What did Jesus do? You guys go off over here. I've got to do something. And so you'd think He'd spend enough time with His Father, right? You're doing all these things. God's going to understand. You got people to heal, people to feed, but He needs time with His Father, and you do too. So when was the last time you spent time praying, not just taking your problems to somebody that you know could probably solve them, but you actually pray and let God try to listen and see if God would open up that solution for you. Every problem has a greater solution. And trying to unpack that for people who are homeless was super hard, because after a while they changed my job to working with people who are chronically homeless, which means they've been homeless for 20 years. And so I sit down with these people that I love them and I want something better for them, but they were like, Jeremy, I get it. You want me to not be homeless, but I'm cool with it. Like, I've been living in a tent for 20 years. I'm fine. And I'm going, no, like there's something better. Not only for your life, but for the people around you. Like there's something better. But you can't always convince people of those things. But I'm telling you, every problem you're facing right now has a greater solution that's found when you trust God with it. Now listen, let's wrap this up, and then we'll do this. I love what we're going to do for our final song, so that's why I'm ready. But let me put this on. Let me put this in there. As we wrap this story up, Jesus is walking, and Peter says this. Peter goes, man, Jesus, if that's you, then call me out on the water. And so Peter went over the side of the boat. Jesus said, come on out here. Since that's you, Jesus, call me out and I'll come walk on the water. And so Peter jumps off to the side of the boat. That's a little extreme. But he walked on the water toward Jesus. Where's he walking? He's walking towards Jesus. There's a direction that he's heading. And when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. Save me, Lord! Exclamation point is what he says out loud. He shouted it. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. Unpack. Ask me some questions. What's going on? Go.
Alright, why is it so vague when it says that here just it was off the boat and just go to Jesus? You gotta think about that.
Okay, so what are you thinking that you thinking that okay. Hold on. So you saying that it's possible that Peter probably was overthinking this a little bit, like, okay, I'm about to jump over a boat, over the side of the boat, and I'm going to jump into a water during the middle of the storm. Like, there's a lot on the line here. So you're thinking that it's probably that it's vague. You're saying actually that there was probably some more emotions going through Peter before he did this.
I don't think he just simply I think he probably thought about it and
okay. Okay. Ask questions. Go.
Well, like with the overthink thing, like sometimes if you just don't let yourself think, like, and you let it happen, it like works. And it's like I don't know. Like if you didn't just overthink it, it would have been fine.
What do you think? So you take that, because you mentioned this earlier. You're taking this part right here and you're putting it in the context of sharing your faith with somebody. Okay.
Oh.
In this moment, what?
When you're sharing your faith and you overthink, you get like you second guess yourself. When you second guess yourself, usually you do it wrong, you know?
What could you do? You might be trying to plan out what you're going to say, and in that moment, Jesus is going, just go. and I'll speak through you. Don't overthink it. Don't plot out exactly, like I've got my sermon. Okay, I blew this sermon away, so I'm gonna go introduce this person to Jesus using my sermon notes. Jesus is like, no, just let me speak through you. Honest words, be honest with people. Let it be raw and just you, just exactly who you are. You see, you had your hand up. Go.
So was this trying to say because when Peter had his eye on him, he wasn't sinking, but as soon as he took his eye off him, he kind of sank. So is that kind of saying in life, once you take your eye off God and start doing the right thing, stop him, your life starts to go downhill.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I read this, and when I was a kid, I've read this story like 100 times, but it just recently hit me about, I started asking the question, why did he start to sink? Right? Like, he's still walking toward Jesus, right? He's still being obedient, but where was his eyes? Write this down. Number 3, my eyes will give power to whatever I see. Matthew's right. My eyes will give power to whatever I see. We were talking about power last week. And this is carrying it on through. So I'm glad Matthew brought this up, because it's exactly what we need to talk about, is that it's not only that he's still walking towards Jesus. That's great that he's still going towards Jesus. But it's what he looks at. So let's go back. What did he look at? What was he looking? What was the reason, do you think, why he started to sink? Go.
He was looking at the wind and the waves.
Which would represent what?
Stuff in our life that causes us to not put God first.
Anything, wow, okay. So anything that would cause a priority to come before God is something that would cause us to start sinking. Do you notice that Jesus still did not let him drown, right? Okay, let's just make that noticeable, that you and I will start to look at our fears and let it push us around and beat us up. But listen, how fast did Jesus reach out and grab his hand? Immediately. As soon as he called on Jesus, immediately Jesus saved him. But here's what we do. We tend to get all in our own heads and say, I can handle this on my own. I can ride this storm out. And I've used this terminology before, but I'll use these marks right here to further explain it. These right here, 1 to 10, they would ask you at an emergency room, what is your level of pain? And I've told them what my level of pain was every time I've been in an emergency room. I was in an emergency room. I left for an emergency room right after I got done talking to you guys last year. On a Wednesday night, I went home, and then I tried to stay in the boat as long as I could. And then I called Abby, and she came and got me and took me to the emergency room. And one of their questions was, what is your level of pain? From 1 to 10. And at any given moment, it was different. It was 4, it was 9, it was 6, it was all over the place. But when they asked me that, I thought to myself, how long had I been living with pain? I would probably say, you guys were, what is it, Bailey and Sydney, you guys were 6, right? Right about there? I would say when I dislocated my shoulder, it was like down here by a 10. But whenever I was dealing with the pain, like it was fluctuating. But I would say that I would sit at about a 6 before I would start going, I need help. It was when I passed 6 and started pushing towards the end of that, was when I stood up here in front of you guys and told you that I was falling apart and I wasn't going to make it. I had been at a 6 for probably 4 months. And I could not figure out how. I was like, that's my threshold of pain. I could do it on my own. I could survive this. I could stay in the boat. I just got, I know that the wind and waves are all around me. But it wasn't until almost Jesus pushed me off the boat and said, we're going to fix this, that everything started to change. And I started to notice that I had an anxiety problem that I had been suffocating for 36 years that I couldn't suffocate anymore. You guys will see what your pain threshold, God will push you and go, are you going to trust me with this? Because I'm telling you, I'm your father. I'm a good, good father. I love you. You are loved by me. Trust me with what you're going through right now. So let me pray, and then we're going to do this last song. God, tonight, some of us in here, we just need to know that you're there. More than anything else, we're a little bit afraid of what tomorrow looks like, and God, we feel like we're in the boat and we're just waiting for it to capsize. But God, I know that tonight we can just take a moment and slow down and remember that just like our earthly fathers and our earthly mothers here, they care so much about us. There's not any of us in here that would doubt that the people that have raised us care about us. You love us even more than we could ever describe. And I pray that tonight some of us in here would just take a moment to let that sink in. That you love us that much. And that you are a good, good Father, and you have a plan for where we're going. Even though we're in a boat and it's in the middle of the storm, there's a reason that we left the shoreline to begin with. And there may be a moment that some of us are called to get out of the boat and trust you, and that may be tonight. So I pray that you would just speak through us right now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Who I am.
He's a good, good father. That's why it's so worth getting out of the boat. And we're going to be doing that in this youth group. Every Sunday night, I want to challenge you guys. I want to push you guys. Ask questions. Next week, we tackle all your questions. Make sure you can put them in that box right there. I love you guys so much. Have an awesome week. All right?